We are back to round out season 3, Jess, and can you believe that it's finally here? And nonetheless, a little bit of, wackiness this year, a lot of selling ideas. We hit some hard-hitting topics, and there's even some marketing discussion to talk about at the end of the year, some controversy, if you will. So I think that let's just round this episode out, talk a little bit about what we've learned, what's going on in our lives, and can you believe, once again, end of December, last episode of the season, Jess, we are there, ready to begin season 4, now more than 100 episodes in.
Wow. Year in review 2025? Really, how is that possible? It feels like we are still just doing the first episode of the season in
Yes.
January with Adam and Kirk throwing out the theme of selling ideas. And now we're here in December.
I
It's
know.
too much.
It goes fast. But, you know, I kind of wanted to think about this episode. What I want to work up to, some of the learnings we're both seeing from our guests, industry, personal lives. What are people wanting to see in 2026? I know you've got a lot of ideas, Jess. I've got a lot of ideas. We've learned some things just from the podcast. But I actually think this wraps in well. Is I've been looking around my marketing feed and the business feed. Just, are you keeping up with Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount? Are you keeping up with this debacle at all? Because my brain's been running a little wild with it.
I'm not. I'm not. Andy, when we talked about when we were in person, how I've gone on this no news detox, I'm literally not looking at anything.
Anything.
Like,
That's a
and it's so I don't know what's happening. I may have seen like one headline on LinkedIn, but it wasn't like sensationalized. It just basically said Netflix acquiring
yeah.
Paramount or
So
Warner Brothers. So that's
no,
all I know.
Warner Brothers, Paramount's in play here.
Oh,
So
okay,
that
okay.
So I'm not going to pretend to understand this because I'm not following it like all the way in. I'm following it from like a marketing angle instead. So like first off, one thing I've realized in 2025, and this is actually like a good learning of how this all plays together, is Netflix is the ultimate controller of the marketing environment. If something's big on Netflix, it's a TikTok trend. It's all over LinkedIn. It's all over everybody's feed. And who's ever involved in it, whether it be, right now the big one is 50 Cent is having a huge resurgence based on his developing of the Diddy documentary, which, whoa, Jess, like, you talk about a crazy documentary, like, in a good way, because 50 Cent's, like, really bringing light to some of the things that have happened there. But he produced the documentary out of kind of his rivalry with Diddy. However, 50 Cent's now the number one trending artist on Spotify and broke the record for Spotify plays. More than Taylor Swift, more than everybody, because Netflix, it became the number one show.
So his music is
Yes.
back up on the top listens.
Yes.
Wow.
Number
That's pretty
one
impressive.
from 2003. So nostalgia again, though. The millennials are hitting it hard. And then you play this in with him being the lead executive producer of this documentary, which again, whoa, documentary. I won't spoil it for anybody. But it showed to me again, like as this Netflix sale happens, how much they control our marketing sphere.
Yeah, I'm just processing everything that you just said. Yes, I actually saw that documentary on like the number one TV
Hmm.
shows, and I looked at it, and of course, I'm in Christmas mode,
Yeah,
and so it's
yeah.
like, of course, I don't watch anything
It's not
outside
happy.
of. But I looked at it, and immediately, like I gasped and I'm like, heck no. But you're right now you're like, this is intriguing. I'm not gonna watch it now, of course.
Mhm.
But this is definitely intriguing knowing that the rival is trying
Yeah.
to trying to share the truth or trying to uncover all the bad things.
And what it is he gave a voice to a lot of people in the industry. So it's not actually him speaking, he's the producer and he's letting them speak it through their own stories. So he basically gives a voice to a lot of people in this industry that have felt, of course, we know through court and what's going on with Diddy that have been supremely wronged. But it also gets into some of the murder cases for Tupac, for Biggie, and like what people are saying that were in those circles. So it's very interesting because it brings all these individual and keyword authentic stories to the table where we didn't have this before. So when I think of that, so now like fast forwarding, so number one show, 50 Cent is trending, 50 Cent like TikToks, like trends are all over the place. But I also think now Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers, which as we speak here on December 17th, still seems like there's a lot of drama that's surrounding that. So there's a hostile takeover bid from Paramount that is trying to, I believe, get their board members and their shareholders to essentially vote this sale down, vote Paramount in. So the Warner Brothers and Paramount are fighting over who gets purchased by Netflix, and it's become this like big giant thing. But besides that, I think of Netflix. Let's say they do acquire Warner Brothers. Think of this from a marketing angle, Jess. They acquire HBO. They acquire Batman. They acquire like all of the superheroes. They're acquiring all these individual properties and their brands within brands within brands. And then Netflix becomes this huge library here where you think of a historic brand such as HBO, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, like all these titles coming their way. Do you ever just think like in a marketing room, like how many different personalities there are and like how much Game of Thrones would be happening when Netflix is like big boss, like controls everything. And now you have like these historic brands that come in and work under the umbrella. So my mind's not as much about business, but my mind's like, are they part of the Netflix brand? Are they still individual brands? Like, does one brand get more love than the others? And like, how do they all work together? Like, I think that's a common thread we see in the corporate world, but we're going to see it played out a lot more publicly because, again, everybody talks about Netflix no matter what they do.
And what a turnaround and comeback. I feel like when we were starting this year, wasn't Netflix in the
Yeah.
dumps? I mean, or there was a lot of uncertainty, like their views were down.
Yeah.
Like the platform
Price went
lost
up.
the
Yeah.
stickiness. And now we're here
Yeah.
and they're taking over.
Well, the interesting thing, so this is also, maybe it's like worth us getting some, CMOs, people that touch both the business and the social side. So, like, from the outlook for me as a marketer, I would say if I'm marketing for Netflix, I always give them the opportunity to succeed as a business because throughout all of social and digital media, they're everywhere. Like, basically everything hits. So their marketing has to be working. But does it work, to grow them in sales? And maybe they started to hit a little bit of a bubble and then now acquiring their competition. Like I would have to look deeper into the business aspect of it. But purely from our side is like creatively, it's fascinating to me.
Definitely. Yes, from a marketing angle and then also too from the creator angle, because I think you're showing here how much they influence this now new creator space that is taking
Hmm.
off on all social channels and platforms and the environment. I mean, is it cool to be a creator? I think so. What do you
Yeah.
think, Andy?
No, we'll be asking that question. So like that's gonna be part of our season 4 we're developing as our next roundtable. Like, like we could straight up ask, hey, Courtney, one of our favorites, is it cool to be a creator? Like lots of different opinions on that. But I think what's interesting is anyone really can be for like moments in time. Like I sometimes like to mess around with my videos. If you've been watching my content, people are calling us now. So this is a phrase you're going to see somewhat, Jess, is because of 50 Cent becoming so relevant again, but kind of just like throwing it out there, like going up against Diddy, doesn't care, like I do my thing. People are saying that they're in their 50 eras now. So like we're just gonna do our thing creatively and not care what people think. So like, I would say, some of my content's a little bit in my 50 era right now, and I think that you're gonna see that pop up a lot in 2026.
Yes. Welcome. I like it. I like it. You are moving into that 50
Yeah.
era.
It's a little easier to produce too. You know, you do like a fun 10-second video, it's a little easier to bring it together.
But how fun is it that we are in this space at the end of the year on LinkedIn where you
Yeah.
can be in your 50 era on LinkedIn? Like I
Hmm.
don't think we expected like the velocity of
Yeah.
this acceleration when we were starting the year. And now it's like, yeah, LinkedIn is a cool place for creators to share their perspective.
It was, even think about that like in a macro sense. So, like, whether it's marketing, business, just all of the noise on digital right now, is there one thing everybody agrees on? Probably not. But I would say the closest thing, and LinkedIn's really leaned into this, the closest thing are people, I think, are fatigued by large corporate billionaires, like whoever, telling them what to do or how to feel. And I think that LinkedIn's kind of taken that, and brands have taken that, and we have to get back to being authentic. And everybody, I think, has a different measure on how they feel about that. But I just feel just all these marketing catastrophes or successes that we've seen, or both. Some of them are both, depending on who you ask. But all of them kind of hinder on, we need to make people feel authentically like they are involved, whether it's a personal brand or corporate brand. Are they involved in the discussion? And if you can achieve that, that's where we see success. And that's why I think on LinkedIn we see so many more people leaning in on that now, because it's starting to get more cool. But here's the challenge for creators, Jess, is you can lean in on that and be authentic, but it's not authentic at all, and people see through that. So it's like, how are you finding that balance, like in a creator type world?
Definitely. As one of our guests for this year, Nick Power would say, you got to go all in on being anti-AI. So
Yeah.
the prompt in your head is it has to sound so not like AI. And
Yeah.
that is the key to being real and human these days in this world.
So what would you say for 2026, Jess, and AI? We use AI. We use AI to, like,
Yep.
help our videos. We use it for prompts on Chat GPT. Like, that's cool. We do that. But there's also, again, we call it AI slop. We talk a lot about on this podcast, and I feel like the industry is like really frustrated with AI slop right now being thrown at them. So do you see any changes in the macro as brands start to approach this topic? At least maybe a little smarter than in like 2023 when we first started like really talking about this.
Yes, we've talked about this in nauseam. There are ways as marketers, as creators, to use AI to gain those efficiencies, to create now more than ever. And it's really though a starting place. It's a starting place to respond and react. And the way that we can consolidate the data and all of this information to start and get out there is incredible. I mean, I think we've said this numerous times. We don't use it as like the be all end all, but to start and to react and to produce at such a faster rate and really unleash that creativity, or giving us that potential to unleash our creativity, is incredible. I mean, I used Copilot to put together our best, best list for this
Yep.
year. And
We're
it
about to
took,
get to that. Yep.
yeah, it took 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like
Incredible.
yeah, we're using that as a starting place for this discussion, but we're not using it as the entire marketing output.
So that's what I think about now, like 2026. Like, we are an AI brand, and I see that come up all the time, and I'm like, well, join the club. Like, who isn't an AI brand at this point? But how are you messaging that? Like, as a brand, like, how should you be messaging? We are a starting point. We are going to create efficiency. We're going to create like something in your day to day, instead of just saying that, hey, we're a product that has AI. Like, that is like the evolution that I'm trying to see. And I think you and I have seen it in pockets. We don't see it as widespread maybe as we should yet.
Totally. It will continue to evolve. That's what's going to make the next year so exciting, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, how we get more what was the word? It was authentic like the last year, wasn't it? Or something to that nature
Yes,
to what the audience wanted. I'm curious. I haven't looked at what the word for 2026 is, but I think it's going to be a continuation. Like I don't think the habits have changed very much.
totally. Yes. Authenticity, real, genuine. I mean, how many times have we used these words?
Yeah.
That's something I should have had AI pull for us. How many times we used those words in
Yeah.
2025 on our episodes?
Yeah. Well, now let's talk about what the episodes have entailed. So, just as you said, you used AI, but also we put in some thought to think about what we've seen, what are our learnings in season three, areas of growth. Like, first, without AI, I think that anyone is trying to do podcasting or speaking, like our ability to speak with guests to each other, like to do this episode and to have the chemistry, like that's improved. I hope you feel it too, like 3000%, Jess. But like beyond that, what are some of the things that you're focused on, we should be focused on going into the next season?
Some surprising learnings and moments. We're finding that our YouTube shorts are quietly outperforming TikTok. So that's a surprise. We would think that, TikTok is the place to be right now for these shorts. I mean, there's still stickiness there for sure, but YouTube, we've had multiple shorts go viral on YouTube versus
Yeah.
TikTok. So, YouTube is still a contender in there for video content.
And it shows too, if you're a brand, think about this as like placements. So we do short form video on LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. It's similar cuts. If we had a whole production house, you would do like individual cuts and doll them up for each channel and make like special like cover photos. But that's in a whole world if you're a production house. We're not. But we found like putting the same content on the three that YouTube has been a little bit where our audience is at. But also with that, I always say TikTok is a channel and TikTok is a style. And the style has been adopted by other channels. So I think that's an interesting test and learn that both for us and for others that, the style now is so consistent across platforms. Figure out which one is your A platform. And I think for us moving into the next year, we've talked a lot about YouTube being more of an A platform for us and what that will entail going forward.
Definitely. And on the note of consistency, hitting the reps, we've talked about this a lot this season as well, is we hit our 100th episode. So
Mm-hmm.
like that was a major milestone, and we've had previous guests in previous seasons always tell us like talk to us when you get to 100. Like you
Yeah.
got to get your reps in, you got to have a consistent outpouring of content in
Yeah.
order to move into this next era. Or I mean, so
Yes.
we're calling it the 50 era now.
Yeah.
So with that though, we have found again with that hitting 100 and then with that consistency and weekly episodes, weekly publishing schedule is so much more impactful than trying to go for the perfect videos, the
Yeah.
perfect summaries, the perfect episodes. So really just using AI and just starting and getting something out there to respond to is key for us, and we're going to continue with that type of schedule. The more content, the better. Not AI slop, but the more content that we can react
Yeah.
to and then overlay with our point of view, the better.
Yeah, and sometimes it's surprising. I think for everyone that works in these industries know that sometimes it's just kind of surprising what takes off or what doesn't. And, it can often be those first few seconds, those first few interactions. So, like, something that we've learned is we have some high profile guests that have come on. But what I've also learned, Jess, is they all use different channels. Like some of them are LinkedIn heavy, some of them are not LinkedIn heavy, some of them are TikTok. We have TikTok influencers that have come on this channel before. What we have talked about maybe wanting to do, and this is going to be a good downtime project, is maybe some sort of like package that's delivered to the guest and how they distribute content. Because a lot of times, and you've hit on this, Jess, when you do workshops with our LinkedIn clients, people often say, oh, these are real smart people in the room, you know, but they don't need to be told to do X and Y. I've actually found, Jess, especially when I'm talking to VPs and CMOs, they want to be told exactly what to do. Quite the opposite. Exactly how to share this, exactly when you need it, exactly how to package it. And I think that if we had like a pre-package, here's where to share on YouTube, here's where to share on TikTok, here's where to share on LinkedIn, do it, you know, as you wish, as you please to help extend our reach. Here is when the post will go live. Like, I think that we could do an interesting job at that and see how it expands reach, but also meeting people where they're at. And I have to go back to the advice you give that people need instructed, and they want that type of instruction from us.
Definitely. Prescription. And there's
Yep.
never a silver bullet, but yes, as prescriptive as you can be, the better.
Yeah.
It's almost it's like the challenger sale, but telling them exactly what to do. And we found to that point around making it more clear with our guests that they need to share, like the
Hmm.
quicker they share their episode,
The more
the
reach.
content, the outsized reach we have on LinkedIn. So very impactful for LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that is something we,
considerably.
yes, and since we are employees of
Yeah.
LinkedIn, we're gonna keep hitting that LinkedIn
The first
drum.
15 minutes. That's what I've heard a lot of, is what happens on an organic post in the first 15 minutes. So that's real interesting. Um,
Yes.
what else? What other
What
big learnings?
what else? So going back to authenticity, oh man, I think we've said it like 5 times this episode. The personal branding stories. So anytime we got super up close and personal with our guests, that's what cut through the noise. So
Hmm.
with the shorts, the episode engagement, all of it. If a personal story was mentioned, it's going to outperform
Yeah.
some of our other content. And I think this just goes back to everything we've been saying about using AI, people getting sick of the slop, and really now trying to figure out how to cut through all the content that is being produced by
Yes.
AI.
Yeah. I think too that when we talk to our guests about this, I think there's a lot of different wavelengths we're hearing. You know, the one thing that was a little bit different this season is our season 3 prompt of how do you sell ideas. Our prompts, I think, from the previous 2 seasons, we would hear the same answers in different forms a lot. When I heard selling ideas, I think we heard like a different answer every single time. And I think that was really cool. Like the prompt actually showed like there is no like a 100% rhyme or reason. And I think that we in this AI world, in like a paid media world, so a lot of people, as much as we tell them, we're saying, hey, like be like transparent, tell them what to do. The advice of what to do, however, could be very different from person to person. And again, I think that's okay. Like, there's not a lot of marketing rooms and people that are allowing that to be okay. And I think that's something special about our podcast is like, again, like, we had some like different, we had all kinds of different types of guests. We had highly analytical, we had like throw the dart at the dartboard and go for it. Like the way I would run it is still probably different than all 100 of our guests that we've had, and that's okay. Like we're more interested to hear what the approach is, and I learn the whys and hows, and it's into that personal and authentic touch. And I think that that's something that will be a key learning both for us and for the brands out there, is that you gotta like stick to your guns. You can't keep changing it up every like 3 weeks. Like, who do you want to target? Like, what is your authentic side, and how do you achieve that through your personal storytelling? That's what I want to see.
And then consistently sharing it
Yeah,
over and over and over
yeah.
again. You think that you've said it too many times, you have
No
not
such
said
thing.
it too many
Yeah,
times. So you
that's an
keep going.
argument. I think we both get into a lot, like in agreeing in our argument is just that like you can't say things enough.
Yeah. So, and I think this is great learning for season 4 when we come up with the theme. The theme is going to be tied to these personal stories. So,
Yeah.
like getting again personal with the theme
So
is
here's
going.
here's my early thought as I've been thinking this through. The prompt I've been thinking of is how do you remain authentic in the marketing room? Or something to that effect. That might not be the exact prompt, but like something to the nature because we still hear a lot of, I sold my soul for X and Y, or I can't speak about this, or I can't do that. And so, like, how are you authentic? Like, what is your method to like find the thing that drives you in the marketing room?
I like it. And then to our community, let us know, what do you want to hear
Mhm.
in season 4 as well? Like
Yes.
what personal stories do you want to connect with in
Yes.
season 4? And then we can incorporate that into the question, our
Yeah.
opening question.
And then,
What's
like how wild should we go for season 4, Jess? Like, like I think that, having Liz Wilcox on, you got to see me nerd out about Survivor a little bit. We do still have to do our follow up with Heath, and there's been some more happening with the fire pop ups. Like, do we get Billy on once and for all? Like, where do we take our marketing ventures? And I think that's what's been fun about this is any person that touches any world of marketing is eligible to be in this conversation.
Andy, this is exactly where I was going to go with the next point. That was one of our interesting moments, or what really stood out. We really focused on selling ideas tied to risk taking. And
Hmm.
so, risk taking by design, you just mentioned many of the guests, but we had so many guests that really primed the pump for risk
Yep.
taking. So I think that
Yes.
is something and you prime it every episode too when we're talking about Liquid Death and
Hmm.
Duolingo and all of these brands that are really taking major risks.
Yes. And,
American Eagle. How could
yeah,
I forget about American
I
Eagle?
know. We had several, and that's something too. So, like, what I want to think about a little bit, and we've been good at times about this. Other times I've done episodes and I've like kicked myself. But sometimes we have marketers in the room. It would be interesting to continually keep bringing up like what is the hot marketing topic. Like right now, if we have a marketer in the room in like a couple weeks and like Netflix and Warner Brothers is still happening, like talk about something relevant with them as it's happening. It might be completely unrelated, but like what's your thoughts on it? Because we did that a little bit with Sydney Sweeney. We brought that into multiple marketing topics where there are people that don't have anything to do with American Eagle, but we are curious, hey, what's your thought on this? So like keeping those real talks because those water cooler talks can be invaluable for our community just to be like, what would you do?
Definitely. And speaking of clothing, another segue, we talked about this as an honorable mention. We met with and discussed dressing for marketing success with Catherine
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
and her shorts went viral on
Number
YouTube.
one. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So there's something to clothes, clothes and marketing in 2025.
Now, it is an interesting topic too because I think about certain episodes they have that ability to like cross over quite a bit into like a mainstream world and in others they get kind of stuck in maybe like more of a niche, like a marketing niche, and that's okay. Like, we were talking about this like, what we give a little bit more pizzazz to maybe on like a TikTok of the world. And I think TikTok needs the extra juice of a Sydney Sweeney sometimes because for it to get like viral because it needs that super widespread because it's more of a generalized broad type channel where I think YouTube and LinkedIn can get more into those narrow marketing channels. So it's kind of interesting to see that, or even YouTube, I guess that was broad, that the clothing discussion, which is something that I think broadens us up quite a bit, allowed us to be able to do that.
Definitely. And then from clothing to podcasting, another honorable mention is we talked about marketing for podcasting success. And I think this definitely plays into what we're seeing now with Netflix. I did see a headline on LinkedIn about how Netflix is going to be doing a podcasting deal as well. So this all
Mm,
ties into what Andy's saying in
yeah.
the 50 marketing era or the 50 era. I'm already
Yeah.
getting this messed up. But so we talked about podcasting with Casey Cheshire,
Mhm.
and we were on our first
Yeah, podcast is guess.
podcast as his guest. So that was another milestone that we reached in
I
2025.
know. That was pretty cool. I would love to be on a few more. That could be something we look into. There's communities, the Marketing Podcast Network is an option where there's some that we could be on there, but continue that momentum because it's different seeing it from the other side. It gives you some ideas and perspectives too.
Definitely. And then to really, bring it home, and this was towards the end of the year, last month, we executed on our first roundtable. So we had a digital health roundtable with seven guests, seven incredible guests across many disciplines, many fields to talk about digital health and how it impacts our children, how it impacts our friends, our family, and we did it. And
Yes.
it was amazing, and
It's good.
it's a format that we're going to continue on with moving forward.
Yes, it gave us some good ideas, some learnings from the production side of things, but a well coordinated effort where we were kind of the mediators. And again, let them talk, like let them give their own perspectives on a hot topic and kind of took it from there. It was fun.
Definitely. Lots of personal stories in that episode. So if you have
Yes.
not listened to that episode, that is like number one on our list to check out.
Yes. But overall, Jess, I would say is we wrap this season up. Like I think that one of the things that we have to highlight too for marketers is probably actually I'll give you two things. Like the first is this is something that's more of like a passion project, something we enjoy, but also the passion actually like really gets embedded into our day-to-day work. So like being actually able to do something you want to do without maybe the expectation of X and Y. Like anything that we get that's X and Y, I think we're happy with. Like, I always kind of joke, like people ask about the podcast and I'm like, well, we're not necessarily trying to like become the next like mainstream podcast of the world, but if we did, like cool. If not, like it's great. But I think there's just a real value to like freeing yourself up to do these things. It doesn't have to be a podcast, choose, what's right for you. The other thing I would say is that just the sheer consistency of being able to do it, I think we alluded to earlier, Jess, is important for us because there are so many things that I think all of us do in our lives that we are high energy, low energy, medium energy, but finding like someone to like enjoy it with. Like there's probably different energies that you and I have going into each episode, but it kind of like keeps us going, like there's like a real power to doing that.
Definitely. This still remains to be one of the best creative outlets, sources of inspiration for us. And what I love is we do now practice what we preach. When we're in these rooms with other marketers, with the C-suite, we can draw on our own experience
Yeah.
and talk about like what we've tested and just have more proof to what works versus a feeling. So yes, I have seen it impact our communication style, the way that we share our point of views, just having the confidence
Yeah.
in what we are recommending has been game changer. Our content creation. I know I made the joke when we were in New York that I've now reached, I'm not calling it the 50 era, but I've now reached my like content creation era,
Yep.
and we're creating content, and it feels good,
Yeah.
and it feels like we're really reaching our community,
Yeah.
and that, and then to translate that to like our consulting through LinkedIn and having these conversations with marketers has been really fantastic, and I do not take this opportunity for granted.
Yep. And that's the most important thing is your community. Like I think that there is a notion of like viral, and Netflix has made everyone their community, but Netflix is like one out of a million. Like for everyone else, for personal or brands, like they have a specific community, and how are they speaking to them? What are they doing that's right by them, but may not be, it doesn't have to be right for everyone, but it's right by them. And I think that's the key thing. That's an element that we continue to think about when it comes to marketing.
Definitely. Oh
Well,
man,
I
season
know.
4. I can't
Crap.
believe it.
I know. We'll see. We
And
don't have our guests lined up to start season 4, but we'll see who we come out swinging with at the beginning of January. I think you got to have something proper to start the season. Like last year, we set the bar high when we start season 3. So I'll think about what that entails for 4. The other thing I think about is we have such a roster now of guests that we're at the point where there's definitely going to be some returnings coming on. So I might see if we serve someone up with some oomph to start the year for 2026.
yes, the returns, that is another theme. We had a few returns this year, and the returns will continue. And I
Yes.
do love the returns.
Yeah. Follow up and be like, hey, it's been 3 years. What's happened in this time? And see where we go with it.
Oh man, really incredible. I'm so glad to be on this ride with you,
Yes.
Andy, and we met in person. So I
Yes.
mean,
Now it's official.
now it's official, and maybe in 2026 more to come in
Yes.
person.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
We
Yeah.
tried so hard to film during our
Yeah. There
in-person
was no
time.
time.
It
Like,
just did not
The other
work.
thing, the other thing too is like I love offsites. Like I think they're important. Like I think
Yes.
it's good to get your team together. It's good to get perspective. It had been a long time since I had done one with my team, but one thing that came back to memory is as good as it is, things like this for creative energy get shot because like it's so many sessions that I'm like I can't even think about what I would talk about on camera right now because it's like your brain's kind of like processing so much.
Yeah. Well, next year
Yeah.
we'll ship something.
Yeah, we'll build our own studio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. But till then, Jess, season 3 wrap. We'll talk to everyone next year, as in a few weeks from now, and keep our momentum rolling.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.